One of the questions that we field so often is, tell us about this notebook, or as we've termed it, the Pensieve. And when we say Pensieve, we mean the Harry Potter Pensieve, where Dumbledore had the vessel that holds all of his greatest thoughts and memories. So that's where that term Pensieve comes from. It's really our conferring notebook, and we'd like to take a look at it and show you the components of this Pensieve right now. When we open it up, you can see that we've divided it into sections. And let's take a look at this first section. The first section is the conferring sheet and the calendar. We really rely on these very heavily. And what we look at with these is it's where we keep track of appointments that we've made for children and with children. So if we say, we're going to meet back with you tomorrow, or we're going to meet back with you in 2 days, we'll go ahead and write Will's name on there if that's him, and then we know that we will keep that appointment with him. Boy, if Gail and I had a dime for every time we've said, I'll get back with you, and then we forget. So we keep track of appointments there. First thing we do when we get Daily 5 up and running, we've pulled our first guided reading group, and that group is done. Then we go ahead and we take a look at our calendar and we see if we have any appointments for the day. We try to meet those appointments first. Once those appointments are done though, however, we know that we've got more time. So then we look over to this side, and this gives us a nice look at who have I met with most recently, and who do I need to meet with next. What we know is fair is not always equal. If we look at this, you can tell right off the bat who at this moment is a child that is really needing more support from us, because they have more dates here that they've been met with. You can also tell who might be a higher flyer, who's not getting met with quite as much because they don't have as many dates met with. You can also tell who has been slipping through the cracks. So what we always do is we meet those appointments, then we take a look at this sheet and say, is there anybody that slipped through the cracks? This one right here, I need to touch base with him. Or, boy, I really need to meet with her every single day, and I see that I didn't meet with her today. That was yesterday's date, so I'm going to meet with her. Once we meet with the child, if I meet with him first, I'm then going to put today's date right in that box so that it lets me know, yep, met with him. So it's just another way to keep track of our children. When we look at our calendar, we also look at it for a couple of other components. It helps us as we set meetings with children and set appointments with them, but it's also a way to keep track of those guided groups that we do. So if we're going to meet with a fluency group, we might write fluency in there for ourselves to know. The other thing that it does really well, it helps us with what Gail and I call our Chihuahua kids. Those are those kids that every single day they seem to walk in the door and say, Miss Moser, am I going to meet with you? Am I going to meet with you? Am I going to meet with you? And they're just chomping at your ankles. They just can kind of make you crazy. And they're the kids that are really high maintenance. So every day when those kids come through the door, it's so much more respectful to say to them, let's look at our calendar and let's look if we have an appointment today. Oh, I see that we have an appointment not today, but tomorrow. And it helps alleviate that anxiety for that child of, I got to meet with you, I've got to meet with you. So the calendar works in that way as well. We want to show you the next section of our notebook, and this is the focus group section. What we've got is we've got the pages that have our focus groups on them. On the right-hand side of each of these, this is the names of the group. Across the top is the goal for that group and the strategy that we're going to work with. We've left then a large box area for us to write down the date that we meet with that group and what lesson that we do. That helps us so that we can remember what we did yesterday and we can plan right there on the spot what I need to do the next time I meet with them. What we do is we have a variety of these here, and then we have a section in the back of blank ones. So they're all ready to go so that when we need to form a new group, we can make a new one. Once they are filled, we go ahead and pull this out. This you can tell is a very new one, so it's not filled yet. But once it is filled, we go ahead and pull it out, and we have a section in our green assessment box where we keep all the kids' assessment, and it's just labeled strategy groups. So we file them right in there, so we always have them just in case we need to refer back. There's another section in our notebook called data. Now, the data section in the notebook contains reading levels, and it contains all the information that we really need to really track our kids' progress. Right now, my kindergartners, I have some young 5-year-olds, I'm using this form to track their benchmarks. How are they doing on those benchmarks? So that whole section of data is just a way for us to monitor our children's progress, help them pick best fit books and good fit books, because we've got their reading levels as well. The whole last section of our notebook has every child with a piece and a section of it. Within their notebooks, what we have is we've got a reading conference sheet, our writing conference sheet, a math conference sheet sometimes, and we either have a cafe menu or we have our kindergarten cafe menu or our pre-emergent cafe menu as well to help. It's just a way that we can take a look at what are the child's goals, what are their strengths, and each time we meet with them, what were their observations and instructions, and what are our next steps to meet their goals. As these get filled, we go ahead and take them and we file them in our assessment box so that they're ready to go. That's it. It's simple. There's just a few sections: the keeping track section, the focus group section, data section, and then the whole area for the kids. In the front of the notebook, you're going to see some loose sheets here. What we've been working on with this group of learners is we've been working on those basic sight words or those heart words. So what I have filed here are all the different levels of those basic sight words that we work on with children. Because what we know is if they have command over those basic sight words, about 70% of the English language, both written and the reading section, is composed of those sight words or those dolch words or those high frequency words. So we always keep those tucked right here in the front, not only as a reminder for us, but it's also a wonderful way to help kids go back, and we can pull those sheets out, we can revisit them, we send them home with our families, and we like to keep them tucked right in there so that we can use them with our kids. And then what we do is we always wrap it up in a beautiful notebook, because what we found is we used to use just one of those generic white notebooks, and not only did we have a hard time finding it in the room, it wasn't something we really loved and loved to carry it around. So now we spend typically most summers shopping for the perfect notebook that's beautiful and that we love, because we even want to carry it around more. So this is what we use to look at our Pensieve or our Conferring notebook.